Stop destructive family relationships. Become the father that you want to be. Charles was only 4 years old, but he'd already had a broken arm, and he'd already gone to bed many nights crying, covered in bruises. He'd already witnessed so many acts of physical and sexual assault against his mother. And now the front door was opening and then slamming. And Charles's mother handed him a beer, told him to run to his dad, and quickly began putting food on the table. Charles ran as fast as his legs would take him, but at the last minute, the toe of his shoe caught against the rug. He fell flat on the floor. The beer went flying and slamming against the wall. His father roared in anger, grabbed him by the collar, and flung him across the room. If you asked Charles at 10, he would say he hated his father and he was never going to be like his father. He was going to love his children. He was going to help his children in school. He was going to take care of his family. But if you looked at Charles, he was already calling his mother a bitch or shoving her if she didn't move fast enough. He was already quick to get angry at his peers at school, punching them, kicking them, despite the number of times he was sent to the principal's office. If you saw Charles at 16, he would say he was nothing like his father. He had already begun to date, and he was getting everything he wanted from his girlfriend. If she was too slow, he would shove her or punch her. If she didn't seem to want sex, he would force it on her anyway. Charles wasn't thinking about whether he wanted his girlfriend to do everything he wanted the moment he asked for it, or if he wanted a girlfriend who cared about him as a person, who didn't just give him sex, but gave him sexual intimacy, where she cared about giving him emotions that made him just feel sky high. If she cared about him as a person, would listen to him and try to understand him. And if he wanted to be the kind of person who understood her in return, if he wanted to be the kind of person who she wanted to hold forever in her arms. How is Charles going to be different from his father? He didn't get the skills he needed to understand his emotions and to be in control of them, not to have them in control of him. He didn't know how to stop and think about what actions might give him what he wanted in the long run rather than in the immediacy. People didn't teach him the skills he needed when he was growing up to not be like his father. If Charles right now wants to be a good father, he needs to consider learning about parenting by going to a course at his local community college in child development. Otherwise, when his 2-year-old child screams no at the top of his lungs and kicks him in the shins, Charles is likely to become the default parent, the father he learned to be from living with his father.